Hello, everyone. Welcome to English Explorer Podcast, where we help you improve your English one conversation at a time. I'm John, and I'm so excited to have you here with me today. Whether you're just starting out or looking to sharpen your skills, this podcast is for anyone who wants to learn English in a fun and easy way. Each episode will explore new vocabulary, useful phrases, and practice speaking together. So grab your headphones, relax, and let's dive into today's lesson.
All right, let's be real for a sec. Is there anything, and I mean anything, more universally relatable than the difference between a good morning and one of those mornings that hits you like a runaway train?
Yeah.
I mean, we've all been there, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's like that feeling sets the tone for the entire day, you know? Either you're gliding through your morning or you're just trying to regain control.
You hit the nail on the head, which is what I found so interesting about these two YouTube videos, the High Level Listening Advanced English podcast.
Yeah.
These two, they're all about this, good morning versus bad morning.
Yeah. And what I think is super helpful about that channel is you've got the British English speaker, right? And you've got the American English speaker. So it's not just learning the dictionary definition of a word. You're actually hearing it in context, in real conversations. And, those nuances, they differ sometimes.
You know what that actually reminds me? Just the other day, talk about a morning, the skies opened up, I'm already running late, and my car decided to give up the ghost right there in the driveway. It was almost comical, except I wasn't laughing,
I love how you described that so visually. I bet if we asked the British speakers in that video, they'd probably just call that a bit of a rough one.
And you know what I love? That actually says so much. It's subtle, but you get it right away. Like the universe and I weren't quite on the same page this morning, but without being overly dramatic,
Exactly. And I think that really speaks to British humor a lot of the time. That sort of wry, understated, finding the humor in it, even if it's a bit frustrating.
Listening to them describe these rough mornings, I thought I had that whole bad sleep vocabulary down, But they used tossing and turning, which, okay, classic, but then they also said in and out. It made me think about those phrases in a whole new way.
It's amazing how those tiny little variations change the picture so much, right? Like tossing and turning, you can just feel that restless energy. You're fighting the sheets. And then in and out, it's almost, lighter somehow.
Yeah. And then there was this one, they said, way past my bedtime.
Yeah.
Which okay, we've all heard it, but hearing an adult say it, there's this element of, self-awareness. They're in on the joke of their own terrible sleep schedule.
It's so true. Adds a little humor to it, right? We all know we should be better about bedtime. But sometimes those late night scroll sessions, they get us.
And even just how they talked about getting out of bed, drifted off versus sprang out of bed. I mean, those two phrases alone tell you everything about the kind of morning they're having. It's like the difference between a lazy river and a cannonball, right? The energy just explodes off the words. You can practically feel the difference in your own body. I'm with you.
Yeah.
But you know what really got me? When they were talking about their morning routine, they used the word staring at their phone, not looking, staring. And to me, that just sounds so negative, right? It's this involuntary thing you get sucked into.
Absolutely. Staring, it implies a lack of control almost, doesn't it? It's like this weird pull that the screen has on us sometimes. I think it says a lot about, how complicated our relationship with technology is these days.
Okay, this is maybe a bit nitpicky, but there was one sentence. I got the meaning, but the grammar itself, it kind of threw me. They said, I spent half the night tossing and turning, only to wake up feeling like I hadn't slept at all. Out of two, can we break that down?
Oh, that's such a great catch. It shows how even native speakers, we use grammar in these subtle ways, right? So that only,
Right.
It really highlights the contrast between what you'd expect and then, bam, reality hits. Like you said, you tossed and turned all night, so logically you should feel rested. But nope.
So it's all about emphasizing that unexpected, usually kind of disappointing outcome.
You got it. And it adds a little drama to your storytelling, It's something you can use in all kinds of situations. Like, I rushed to make the meeting only to find out it had been canceled.
Okay, grammar nerd moment over, I promise. But speaking of unexpected, there's this word they used. I had to rewind 3 times because I thought I'd misheard it, honestly. They said ratty.
Ratty.
Oh, ratty. That's a fun one. It just shows you how even within the same language, you get these regional things, right? Like ratty. You're more likely to hear that in certain parts of the UK basically means grumpy, irritable, usually because you're tired.
Which, okay, I get it. That feeling when you're just running on fumes and everything feels like a big deal.
Yeah.
It's so interesting how even just geographically, those little differences pop up in the language.
Totally. And it's funny because just as ratty stood out to you, I noticed the British speakers, they were using lovely and properly quite a bit. Very common there. But you might not hear it as much in, say, American English. Now that you mention it, they did. I even wrote down lovely. At one point, it seemed like they were using it for everything. Lovely cuppa, lovely chat. It's like this all-purpose positivity booster or something.
It really is. It's that very British thing of finding the bright side, even if, the morning's been a bit rough around the edges. Properly is another one. Adds emphasis, a bit informal. Like you could say, I'm properly knackered instead of just tired.
Okay, last one, and I might be overthinking this, but did you notice how often they used wouldn't when things went wrong? Like the car wouldn't start, the toast wouldn't cooperate. It's like they're saying these inanimate objects are making choices to mess with them.
You are so spot on. That is such a subtle but brilliant way to use language, right? It's like by saying wouldn't, it's not just that the thing is broken, it's that it's choosing to be difficult. Just adds to that whole frustrating morning vibe.
It's amazing how these little word choices, they really color the entire story of our day, don't they?
They absolutely do. And I think it highlights what we've been saying, that language is so much richer than just, conveying information. It's storytelling. It's humor. It's even a way to express our own little frustrations.
This deep dive, I've got to say, it's been a real eye-opener. It makes you realize language is so much more than we give it credit for.
For sure. And maybe even makes you think twice about the words we use.
Exactly. So, to our listeners out there, if something as, let's face it, ordinary as a morning routine can sound totally different just by changing a few words, what about your own day? What little swap could you make? Trade out dreading for looking forward to, maybe. Or instead of a problem, it's an opportunity. Even something small, you'd be surprised what a difference it can make. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.